Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. How are you? Happy Labor Day and all that good stuff. I've had an extremely productive day, so I thought I would jump on and take some questions. Hope everybody is doing well. You can just leave your questions in the comment section and I'll get to them. It's a wonderful day in VA land. Hopefully, if you had the day off and you're working on a claim, you've spent some time working on it, doing some research or something like that. So I'll jump right in with questions. Hello, my claim is over 10 years old. Had all my CMP exams. VBA claim still looking for records. I sent them all my records. Happy Labor Day. My best advice would be to get a representative who can look into your case electronically and see exactly what they're looking for, and either tell the VA that they can stop looking for it, or that you have it and you've already sent it, or something like that. You said 10 months, not 10 years. But if nothing else, you can write the VA and ask for a partial rating decision. But they're still looking for something if it's still open. So just know it's probably not it's probably not a routine thing. There is something they need to finish processing your claim. How can I see notes from a CMP exam done by VES? Happy Labor Day. Happy Labor Day. In order to get your notes from VES, which is a VA contractor, Veterans Evaluation Services, you are going to need to request them under the Freedom of Information Act and the Privacy Act from the VA, just like you would request your C file. That's the first way to get them. The second way to get them is to get a representative with electronic access who can access it for you and print them out for you. I think that's the easiest way. If you live near a regional office, you could probably, go there. Well, regional offices aren't open to the public at this time, so that's not an option right now. When you do the range of motion exam, do you go until you feel pain or as far as you possibly go? I tell all my veterans to stop at the first point of pain, or at least let the doctor verbally know where the pain begins. The doctor needs to see what it's like on your worst day. Hi, how many appeals can I have on the same claim? That's an interesting question. You can't have claims, the same claim, in different appeal lanes. For instance, you can't have a supplemental claim and a Board of Veterans Appeals on the same claim. A Board of Veterans Claims appeal on the same claim. You can't have a supplemental claim and a higher level review on the same claim. It's just a matter of the VA doesn't allow that. So when you talk about how many appeals can you have on the same claim, if I'm understanding you right, you can't have multiple ones in different lanes at the same time. However, you can keep appealing forever. If it got denied, keep appealing. If the board denied it, go to the court denies it, take it higher. Or you can go back to a supplemental claim with new or relevant evidence. It's called the forever appeal. You can keep appealing a VA claim forever. My first time learning. am rated for tinnitus, and I've always had headaches. I saw where another vet was making a claim for this. Should I mention this to my VA doctor? Thank you for your time. Yes, I would. It's a valid claim. I've seen many vets get connected for headache secondary to tinnitus. I think there are even some studies out now about it, but I'm not a medical professional. I'm just a representative. Can I claim COVID-19 if it did occur during service? This is an interesting question. The VA is just beginning to make rulemaking on COVID-19. I would suggest putting in a claim for it, and if there are residuals, definitely putting in a claim for it. But right now, there's no hard and fast rule on COVID-19. From what I understand, they're going to rate it analogous to, which means the same as West Nile virus. But that hasn't been put in writing yet. Happy Labor Day. I filed in 2008 for flat feet with pain. VA denied my claim, stating I never sought treatment while on active duty. They acknowledged that I do have flat feet, and it was noted on my entrance exam. I'm trying to obtain a nexus letter. Is there a way to get a template for a nexus letter specifically for flat feet? My private podiatrist was not really too enthusiastic about writing one. Thank you. Have a great day. If your flat feet were noted on your entrance exam, then your route to service connection is by aggravation. That the service aggravated your flat feet and made them worse. In terms of a template for a nexus letter specifically for flat feet, I don't have one. You can check the file section. There's lots of sample nexus letters there, but I don't think there's one specifically for flat feet. But I mean, you need the same type of language, more likely than not caused by the service. How true is it if you are a PNT, you will not have any more CMP exams? That's true if you do not mess with your claim. If you do not open anything back up and you are PNT, you should not have any more reevaluations. I was separated for AC separation, SEP code 5203 for 20%, but on the same claim had put range of motion as an issue with AC SEP. It shows it listed, but they did not rate me for range of motion, which is moderate. I noticed if they put range of motion, it would have me at 30 since it's my dominant arm. Would you think a Q would be good to file since they failed to rate me for the higher problem? That, my friend, is a very, very good question. And the answer, unfortunately, is I would have to look at your record to give you a solid answer on that. There might have been a Q committed. You might be very well correct, but a Q is a very high legal standard, and I don't encourage, well, I should not say that. If you have a valid Q, I encourage you to put a claim in. But I really can't answer that without looking at your file. It's a delicate type of line there between how they rate the shoulder. Be on your worst day. That is all I can tell you. Don't go there and try to be a good guy. That's absolutely correct. When you're in a CMP exam, you need to simulate what it's like on your worst day. If your back goes out all the time or something like that, make sure be vocal. Make sure the examiner knows. If I had a case remanded from the board and I was awarded another disability on top of what was remanded, how do I appeal that effective date for the additional rating? You just put in the claim for effective date. I filed the VA-9, which was my only option, but the board said they wouldn't consider the effective date because it wasn't on my previous appeals. Either file a higher level review or a supplemental claim on that effective date. I filed my initial claim 8 years ago, and they said my carpal tunnel was not service connected. I have encounters from when I was on active duty and tests with the diagnosis. Since then, I have had surgery on both hands. Should I refile? Yes, you should file a supplemental claim with the new evidence. from your surgeries and things like that. Can hearing loss be secondary to tinnitus? I've seen it. I have 2 claims that were remanded after a BVA appeal. I recently had a CMP exam for the remanded claim. Is it too late to add more evidence before the judge reviews them again? If not, how do I need to submit the new evidence? I would just mail it or fax it into the VA. Yes, you can submit new evidence, and I would just mail it or fax it into the VA as soon as possible. Just had shoulder surgery on the 31st. Submitted a claim for TEMP 100, and the rep said to file it as convalescent. Just curious how long it would take, and will the back pay after that fact of surgery. So they will back pay from the day that you put the claim in. But it's taking months right now for TEMP claims. I mean, you might not get an answer for 6 months. They will probably still approve it and you'll get back pay, but it can take a while. 3 to 6 months is what I would put it at right now. Good afternoon, ma'am. My question is, VA adjusted my dependents based off their notification versus my kid's date of birth, which was prior to my ETS, a different year. I don't see the question. My husband went for initial psych evaluation last week and it lasted less than 30 minutes. Can they determine why he might be eligible for in just that short period of time? Yes, they can. I've heard of exams lasting 5 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, and vets still getting approved. So it might just be all the questions that the doctor had to ask. He asked them and he read the rest from the record or something like that. It might also be a denial, in which case you should file some form of appeal and let them know that, hey, this exam was only 30 minutes. It was inadequate, likely inadequate. Where can I find if I have a reevaluation? It would be on your rating code sheet. The only way you can get your rating code sheet is requesting it from the VA or requesting it from your VSO or representative who has electronic access to your file. Those are the 2 ways to get your rating code sheet. They make a rating code sheet with every rating decision. They just don't send it to the veteran. If you have a representative, they always send the rating code sheet to the representative when they mail out the rating decision. And so your representative should have it. Are there any ways on tracking a BVA remand at the regional office? Yes, you need to get a representative who can look at your claim electronically and tell you the status of your remand. A lot of VSOs can do that. You don't have to get them to work on your claim, just to tell you the status and where it's at. All of my husband's doctors are with the VA, and I'm under the assumption they are reluctant to write a nexus letter. Would we need to go to a civilian doctor, and would they know what a nexus is? Thanks so much. So in the group, under the announcement section, there's a long list of doctors who will write nexus letters. There's a lot of VA doctors who won't write nexus letters. They're under the belief by policy that they can't. I would say that's backwards and they can, but you don't want to argue with your doctor. Just get the nexus letter that you need from a doctor who will write it and is willing to write it, and keep going about your business. So yes, if your VA doctor won't write it, then you need to go to a civilian doctor. And a civilian doctor who will write a notice nexus will know what a nexus is. Some doctors don't know what it is and you have to explain it to them. You know, some doctors are happy to write a letter, they just don't know what a nexus is. But keep asking. Hello, thank you for sharing and answering questions. If you have 0% rating in terms in items and they have become worse, would requesting an evaluation open up other service-connected reviews? The answer is it shouldn't. If you are only reopen the things that are 0%, it shouldn't open up everything else. I mean, that happens in like 1% of cases I see. But if you click increase requested on some of the items that are already service connected, they're going to reevaluate those. How can I apply for 100% unemployability and continue trying to work on 100% PNT? You just file for it along with the other claims you want to file. The VA in Fayetteville, NC said my injuries in Iraq were a personal history, regardless of what Walter Reed said, and that's how my injuries are labeled. How can I get help with that? I'm not necessarily sure the question you're asking, but no, if you have records from Walter Reed and a record in service of injuries in Iraq, that's not personal history. That's injuries in Iraq. And so you should definitely file a claim for it and move forward from there. But don't let the Fayetteville NC VA Medical Center deter you from filing valid claims on what you know you were injured for in Iraq. What the law says is that when injury happens in combat, the VA is supposed to take the veteran's word for it, because usually medical records aren't created in combat because you're in combat. And so I would add a personal statement that these things happen in combat. Those were my injuries began, and keep it moving from there. Are there any ways on tracking a BVA remand at the regional office? I believe it should show up on va.gov, but I could be wrong. But the best way is to get a representative who can tell you exactly what the status is. If a representative has electronic access, the VA has a system called Veteran Benefit Management System, and they allow VSOs, agents, attorneys access to it. If they have access to your records electronically, they can tell you exactly what's happening with your BVA remand. Does appealing a decision count as opening a new claim in regards to worrying about having a PNT rating review? No, it's not opening a new claim. It's appealing a decision, and the board, if you're taking it to the board, they won't review your other conditions or your PNT rating. They're only going to review what you put before them. Can I have a secondary claim on a secondary? Yes, you can. Once you get a secondary claim service connected, the VA says that is rated just like a primary condition. And so you can file a secondary on that. I've seen it multiple times. Does tinnitus have to be in your service records, or can it be? I've seen tinnitus connected probably hundreds of times where it wasn't in the service records. You just need to have had some exposure to noise during service, or have your MOS on the list of high exposure MOSs. Happy Labor Day. I filed my claim for IU to higher level for increase. Now claim at a standstill, stating compensation issues. Also said because I'm in voc rehab, I can't get increase. Still in pain, trying to get increase. Should I cancel my current claim for IU? Will it affect my future claim processes for increase? You can get an increase. You should look at the rating schedule and make sure that there's increase possible for the condition before you're just putting in claims and you're already at the maximum and there's no way you could get an increase. But you can go for IU and claim increases at the same time. So I don't know who told you that because you're in voc rehab, you can't get an increase, but that's not the truth. Had a full knee replacement 6 weeks ago. Was service-connected injury. Hip has been hurting me for the last couple years, especially now following surgery. I just found in my records the orthopedic surgeon made notes 2 years ago x-rays that day of appointment was showing my hip developing CJD and was being exacerbated by my knee injury issues. Do I have a case for oh yes. Do I have a case for hip secondary to my knee? Do I need some medical appointments on hip only, still in recovery for knee surgery? Yes, you have a great case for your knee, especially if that's in your medical records. Put in that claim ASAP. And if your knee is service connected and you just had knee replacement surgery, you might want to put in a claim for increase for your knee if it's not at 30 or 50%. Does tinnitus have to be in your service treatment records for service connection? No. I'm in the process of having a mental health evaluation, but on a current claim, I filed for sleep apnea, but was diagnosed only 2 years ago and have a CPAP machine. Should I wait until I am service connected with the mental disorder and file a sleep apnea secondary to depression? That's probably the best route to go. If sleep apnea is not in your military medical records, you're gonna have a hell of a time getting it service connected. So you might want to go the secondary route. Hi, I'm in the process of getting my rating. Have completed 2 out of 3 more exams. My question is, I am pending rating. Can I still claim the convalescent disability for an upcoming surgery this month? It will be 6 weeks. I would, because if your rating gets awarded, they're going to go back, they're going to backdate it to whenever you put the claim in. And you would be eligible for the convalescent rating should that be service connected. So I would go ahead and apply for it around the time of your surgery. And after you get the doctor's notes that say doctor's note that says how long you will be out of work. My husband is 100% but not permanent and total. How do we get him to be permanent and total? Okay, so the VA allows requests for permanent and total when you're 100%. What you have to do is fill out 526EZ, the VA claim application form, and put request for permanent and total and DEA, Dependents Educational Benefits, under the issue section. I would also write I would only like those disabilities that are not static to be reevaluated. That way they don't reevaluate everything. They only reevaluate the disabilities that aren't static. But in order to get from 100 to permanent and total, he is going to have to at least go through one reevaluation for whatever condition is not static. And you find out what's not static by looking at your rating code sheet. I'm sorry, the question is, how do I get the dates adjusted for my dependency, and will they provide back pay? If it's been within the last year that they adjusted your dependents and you put in an appeal, yes, you should get back pay. I would file a supplemental claim or a higher level review and get that reviewed. I was diagnosed with PTSD last October and got 50%. But I haven't worked since December, and I've gone through and still going through therapy and numerous meds. Do you think it's too early to apply? No, it's not too early. You can put in for an increase the day after you're rated for a claim. You don't have to wait a year. You don't have to wait 6 months. If you feel like your award is too low and you deserve more, you can put in for an increase at any time. What do I have to do to get a copy of my DBQ done by a contractor, VES? I think I answered this earlier, but you either need to request it from the VA with the Freedom of Information Act, Privacy Act request, or get a representative with electronic access who can get it for you because they have access electronically to your records. Your VSO can see your completed exams, or agent or attorney, if they have electronic access, can see your completed exams as soon as they're sent back to the VA. I've been honorably discharged since 2011. I was diagnosed with breast cancer and had mastectomy surgery at the VA hospital in 2017. I filed a claim for it and they denied it. To this day, I haven't gotten a reason for the cause of my cancer. Should I file another claim? Do you think it would get approved? That's not enough information for me to answer this question competently. But if you were discharged in 2011 and your cancer didn't start till 2017, it might be hard to link the two unless they found some type of mass or something in service. That's just going off what you've just said. Have you heard of a case where someone has second service-connected ankle issues that have got lots of cases? Lots of cases. That's a valid secondary claim. I've asked my representative multiple times for a copy of my CMP exam from VES. They told me they were favorable exams, but I would like a copy. Do I keep asking, hoping they will eventually send it to me, or is there another route? You can request them directly from the VA, or you can keep asking, your representative for them. I would go visit your representative and at least ask them to let you look at them, but tell them that you really want to look at them and you want to check them over. Will the VA accept a nexus letter from a chiropractor? Yes, but it might not carry as much weight as one would from a doctor. What are your fees? I'm on remand. Did all my claims, but DAV is my rep and they are no help in tracking. Contact me personally for that. I don't do these videos to gain clients or anything like that, and I don't put everything out there on videos like this. Hello, I had my CMP exam for one claim already, but I'm still waiting to hear about my other appointments for my back and other physical claims. It's been a while. Do you think I should call myself to see if they can make those other appointments, or do I have to wait until they call me? Yes, call them. On average, after a CMP exam, how long will a decision be made? I can't give you an accurate timeline on this because sometimes it takes a while for the doctor to return the exam to the VA. I've seen it take months for the contractor or the VA itself to return exam result to the VA. After the exam result is returned to the VA, you should have a decision within a couple weeks. So the question you need to ask is call the 800 number and ask, hey, are my exam results in yet? Have they been returned by the contractor or the VA? And are they on record? They won't tell you what the exam results say, but they will tell you if they are there. I've been awarded combat PTSD in 2014, and it comes from 2003 to 2004. I got out and was only 30% for anxiety. Can I change the effective date to 2004? Likely not. Effective date is usually regularly 85% of the time the date of claim. And my percentages are based on my experience. There's nothing hard, fast. You won't find that written anywhere. I have a claim that recently closed with 4 issues. One of my claims was not decided and is not showing up in e-benefits. QTC called and canceled my PFT and stated COVID is preventing them from doing the test. I called and the VA rep told me there were no deferred issues and my case was closed. What should I do now? You need to write the VA and tell them they neglected to adjudicate that specific issue, and they need to reopen your claim immediately and adjudicate that issue. Or get a representative who can do it for you. What's up? I'm from North Carolina too. How long are appeals taking to be processed right now? It says there are 100,024 ahead of me. I would, at the board, they're taking about a year. Is there such thing as 100% rating for PTSD but still able to attain employment? Yes. You can get 100% for PTSD as long as you aren't unemployable, rated unemployable by the VA, which you have to apply for. Then you can be 100% for PTSD and still work. 1 second, there's somebody at my door. I'll get it in there. Alrighty, I'm back. I was just awarded for 10% acne and scarring, but per the rating schedule, I should be getting 30%. Should I appeal or apply for increase? I would do both. You can do both at the same time. Can I be approved for 100% unemployability if I haven't worked in 3 years but still getting disability from my previous job? Yes. Does it help if my VA psychiatrist writes a letter saying that I should be service connected for PTSD? I was denied the first time for non-combat PTSD. That would help greatly to your PTSD claim, because the VA says that PTSD itself has to be diagnosed by a VA provider before it can be service connected. So a letter from your VA psychiatrist would help immeasurably toward gaining service connection for your claim. Yes, if you are a scheduler or PNT, you can work as much as you want. If you are IU, then you could only make less than $13,000. That is correct. Unless you're working in a family business or sheltered employment, then you can make as much as you want on IU. But generally, you can only make under $13,000, and you can still work if you're 100% PTSD or 100% scheduler. Any idea how long it could take VA to approve Chant VA for a spouse? Oh my gosh, the Chant VA wait times are ridiculous. They really need to do something about it. I just sent in an application for a client a couple months ago, and it's still not decided, and they need dental really badly. The most you can do is write somebody. It's one of those situations where you might want to ask a congressman to get involved, because they can't help that application go further or go faster or something like that. Find somebody at Chant VA and email them or something like that. But right now, I would say it's taking 2 to 6 months to get an application approved, which is way too long. And the Chant VA folks never pick up the phone when you call the number, and that compounds the problem and makes it worse. I think they're on Labor Day every day. But there is a group on Facebook specifically for Chant VA. I would encourage you to join that group. How long do I have to submit an appeal for a claim that was denied? A year, 365 days from the date of denial. If it's been past that, you could reopen it with a supplemental claim with new and relevant evidence. Is it hard to get disability for slight degenerative disc disease? No. Not if it's in your service records and service connected. I was in Gulf War, but never evaluated for Gulf War syndrome, considering I have multiple issues from skin to breathing, etc. Is it too late to put in a claim? No, it is never too late to put in a claim. Husband had CMP exam to increase his ischemic heart disease. The examiner felt he would be approved, but said it wasn't his decision. My husband was denied, but no reason why. How do we find out the reason? You need to get the CMP exam results, get them from a representative or request them from the VA, review them and see what the examiner said. The rating decision letter should have also gave you some clue as to why it was denied. So the decision letter you need to read the language closely, should have told you the exact reason for denial. Greetings. Can ED be secondary to OSA? And if I have OSA as standalone, will it mess with my PTSD? Yes, it can be secondary. I've seen it many times. And no, it shouldn't mess with your PTSD. Can you still get 100% rating for PTSD if you have never been fired from a job? I have had to voluntarily leave 3 jobs in the last 5 years, but never terminated. Yes, you haven't been fired is not a prerequisite for 100% PTSD rating. VA claims agent called over 2 weeks ago and said a packet would be mailed and I would have an appointment time and date for telehealth. I have not received the packet as of yet. Should I call and find out what the packet is? Definitely. Please call. Is a shoulder replacement service connected considered a prosthetic? To be honest, I'm not 100% certain, but I think so. By the literal definition of prosthetic, but I'm not at all sure about that. I was diagnosed for patellofemoral syndrome while on active duty. I haven't filed for knee service connection yet, but starting to have knee issues over time. Do you think it will be hard to service connect since I don't have continued treatment recently? No, I don't think it will be hard, and you need to file that claim ASAP, like tonight. Get on eBenefits, file your claim. I don't know what you're waiting for. Add in a personal statement that it's been a problem since service and it's progressively gotten worse. If I am 70% PTSD and want to file sleep apnea secondary, will they re-review my PTSD rating? Does this apply to anything secondary to PTSD? If you don't put in for an increase specifically for your PTSD, 90% chance they won't touch your PTSD rating if you file sleep apnea secondary, unless your PTSD is scheduled for reevaluation. If your PTSD is not listed as static on your rating code sheet, then they might reopen your PTSD. But if it's listed as static, they likely won't touch it, and you can go ahead and file that secondary without worry. Tinnitus, CMP exam. Is anxiety, insomnia, headache, vertigo symptoms, but under mental health linked to tinnitus? Already service connected for tinnitus. They can be linked to tinnitus, yes. How long do you think it will take to get an exam? I filed a claim in March. I'm really hoping you get an exam soon. March is when COVID stuff hit and everything just boom, slowed down really fast. And so I have claims from January that are just getting exams. So don't feel deterred or delayed. You will get back pay. If you get approved, you will get back paid to the date of claim. So consider it a savings account. But you will get an exam. It just might take some time. been denied the first claim and 3 supplemental and a HLR saying no service connect because it was not on active duty. Sent line of duty determination, buddy statement, nexus, and personal letter. The LOD even say will result in a claim in the future. I was in an accident in military vehicle, filing for DDG and cervical spine, and numbers of right index finger. I would definitely encourage you to get a representative. It really sounds like your issue should be service connected, but without looking through your file, I can't tell you the exact reason why they keep denying it. But it really sounds like you need a representative. I'm about to get out of the military. Do I file my claim before I get out or after I get out? How does that work? I have 21 years in right now. File before you get out. If you can do it within 190 to 180 days of getting out, you'll be eligible for the benefits delivery at discharge program. But even if you're beyond that time frame, still file your claim before you get out so you get a rating as close to your exit date as possible. File everything. Every little thing you've been sent in the military for, file it on your claim. If you got out of the military with a dishonorable but completely a 4-year, can you still apply for benefits? With the dishonorable discharge, you are barred from VA benefits unless you get that discharge upgraded or declared insane. I'm retiring on October 1. I'm guessing due to COVID, I've only had one exam, which was virtual. Will I have to wait until all more exams are done before I get a rating? You likely will. Sometimes they do partial ratings, but you're likely going to have to wait until you get all your exams done. If you are scheduled for reevaluation of back and neck by the VA, can you go back before the scheduled VA reevaluation? Yes, you can. You can ask for an increase yourself. I had surgery through the VA only to find out 2 years later I was misdiagnosed and surgery wasn't necessary. The VA sent me a letter admitting fault. What can I do based on this finding? Number one is I would find a good malpractice attorney. The second thing I would do is you can file claims based on that surgery or any residuals from that surgery under 1151 claims. Those are claims where VA mistreatment caused some disability. So I would look into that thoroughly and I would do it ASAP. File a claim ASAP and get an attorney ASAP. I'm 100% PNT, but I have issues that are not rated. Should I add these to my disabilities? It all depends on whether you want to mess with your 100% PNT. My advice usually to those who are 100% PNT is to leave the VA alone. Stop while you're ahead. But if you believe that you have enough ratings to get you to a special monthly compensation, aid in attendance, or some benefit over and above 100%, special adapted housing or special adapted vehicle grant or something like that, then sure, keep going and try to get things rated. But if there's no benefit to you filing extra claims, then don't file them. You're only opening yourself up to be reduced or to go backwards. Does a next letter from my physical therapist carry weight? Been seeing her for 3 years now, beats getting surgery. It will carry some weight. How much depends on what other evidence is of record. Have you ever seen an increase granted without an exam? There was enough medical documentation for an increase without having a CMP? Yes. Sometimes the VA will do ACE exams where the doctor just reviews the records, and yes, they can grant an increase from that. Or if you submitted a fully developed claim with all the evidence up front, then a C&P exam wouldn't be necessary and they can go ahead and rate it. Currently rated for tinnitus but have been diagnosed with obstructive sleep apnea, also taking trazodone, Lorcetin, gabapentin, y'all forgive me trying to pronounce these medications, and ibuprofen 800 milligrams for inflammation, rated for both knees. No diagnosis in my records for above. Can I file for those conditions without a formal diagnosis? Okay, currently rated for tinnitus. Also been diagnosed with sleep apnea. If you're taking trazodone, losartan, and gabapentin, and ibuprofen, you've been diagnosed with something. You need to re-review your records and find those diagnoses. The doctor would not give you medication without a diagnosis, unless they're still doing testing, trying to figure out a diagnosis. But usually you're going to have a diagnosis somewhere. Get a copy of your medical records and review them thoroughly. I'm getting out of the military and got a 90% with the VA. When or how do I get an ID card? And I read here that if I get a percentage with the VA, I'm able to go in military bases. How does that work? I would encourage you, number one, you got 90% when you got out. If you have any other claims, file them within the first year of getting out. Go to the doctor, get seen, and try to get to 100% up front because it's easier that way. If they denied anything, appeal it. How do you get an ID card? I believe you have to go to your VA medical center to get one. Our clinic, local clinic, I could be wrong. That's not my specialty. And I read here that if I get a percentage from the VA, yes, you are. You can. You can go shop at the commissary and things like that. If you get 100%, they're going to give you a military ID. Put in for C-file last August. They said it was mailed out August 10th of this year. Have not received them yet. Those can take forever. I would just keep waiting. Due to COVID, there's no dental appointments at this time. How would that affect my claim? It's just going to slow your claim down. Hello, I filed an apportionment claim against an incarcerated veteran. They finally received a form from prison confirming he's still there. They have told me this is the last and final thing they needed to do to work on my claim. I have asked for my claim to be escalated because of hardship reasons, and my DAV representative has told me it has a flash on it. What more can I do for the adjuster to make a decision on my claim? As I have been made aware, is with an adjuster from Baltimore, Maryland. Keep calling the VA, send the IRS inquiry, have your representative send an inquiry. If you have a good representative, they know how to reach the VA by email and other ways. Every regional office has what they call a change management agent who will take requests from VSOs, agents, and attorneys and get them where they need to be within the regional office. You just need to go through your congressman or somebody and keep the squeaky wheel gets the noise with the VA. Keep bothering them. Would you recommend getting a nexus letter for left knee? That's not enough information for me to give you an informed response. But if your VA doctor or another doctor won't do it, then yes, you probably need to get a nexus letter. Claim was closed in 6 days. Is that too fast? That's very fast, but it might not be too fast. Depends on what the outcome is. I had a supplemental claim for both my middle fingers. They made a decision a few days ago, but one finger they made a decision on my index finger instead of my middle finger. What should I do? File specifically for your middle finger again. Good evening, Carmela George. Hey, good evening. How are you? This is my third exam for my back in less than 2 years. I was at 40% for my back. It went down to 10% after I had injections. I missed over 3 weeks of work due to flare-ups in my back and sciatica, which I just put in a claim for. How do I proceed? Because some days I can barely get up and have to work. Make sure that you only been to your first point of pain on the range of motion exam, that you're very, very vocal with the examiner about you had to miss work, you have flare-ups all the time, describe to them what a flare-up is like, and then get your exam results and make sure all that was notated. How do you change your representative? Do they decide on or affect your rating decision? No, your representative doesn't affect your rating decision. You change your representative by filing out a new POA form or appointment of representative form. They always say it's in the mail. I'm still waiting. I'm sorry about that. 100% for PTSD, you cannot get a job. They automatically give you unemployability. That's not true. 67-year-old retired Marine, currently 80%, and all disabilities are static. Worried about filing further claims. Thoughts? If you have further claims that will get you to 100%, I would encourage you filing them. Have you heard of a case where someone has service-connected ankle issues that have caused hip issues? Yes, I have. So I met with the psychologist Monday. Is it normal for them to write in my medical record note the appointment and documentation is meant for treatment purposes only? This is not a forensic exam, nor is it evidence for or against the VA. That's not normal for them to write. It's like they went out of their way to say that it wasn't for a disability claim, but I mean, the evidence will still be considered for a disability claim, so it doesn't matter if they wrote that or not. How strong is positive CMP exam for tinnitus mental health? Do their findings carry a lot of weight? Heck yeah, the findings carry a lot of weight. It's usually the decisive factor in whether you get a rating or not. So a favorable exam is in your favor and you should get rated for it. I get 100% for PTSD. They said I'm unemployable. In order to be unemployable for 100% PTSD, that you have to have applied for unemployability, or the VA inferred unemployability and granted it to you. But 100% rating, PTSD rating by itself does not mean unemployable automatically. Have you ever heard of someone claiming sleep apnea secondary to GERD? Yes, I have. I see that my lawyer is holding on the next claim to obtain 100%, saying that the doctor that filled out my DBQ is too busy to finish it with the COVID-19 situation. I am in Puerto Rico. Any ideas on what to do? I would thoroughly question your lawyer, ask that doctor he uses to hurry up, try to find a nexus letter yourself, do anything you can do to, the best advice is to file an intent to file. File an intent to file and hold the date. Is a licensed clinical mental health counselor sufficient for a nexus letter for diagnosed anxiety secondary to tinnitus? I've seen them carry some weight. Usually it doesn't carry a whole lot of weight, but it should be enough to get you a CMP exam, and the CMP examiner should take the opinion of the licensed clinical mental health counselor into consideration. At the board, if you have to get to that level, it will carry weight. Have you ever heard or seen the VBA grant to reopen claims and still nothing happens? Yes. What does deferred for VA medical opinion mean? Thank you. It means they delayed the decision to get a VA medical opinion on the condition. They delayed the decision to get an examiner to say, whether your condition is service-connected or not. They didn't have enough information to make a decision at the time, so they deferred it. I had a fall while active duty and diagnosed with shoulder impingement syndrome. I have since been diagnosed with cervical DJD and compressed disc that required 2-level cervical fusion last year. I applied for DJD resulted in cervical fusion with cervical radiculopathy and was denied, stating that shoulder and neck injuries are not related. The VA paid for the surgery. How do I get the cervical injuries rated? Sounds like you're going to have to get a private nexus letter. Have you seen where the vet has an appeal for TDIU, but while waiting, they put in additional claims and they are bumped up to 100%? What does the vet do for the appeal in process? They just wait for the outcome of the appeal. If the TDIU predates the 100% they got, then they will usually backdate it to. They can still be granted IU for the period before they became 100% permanent and total. Does the VA consider their hospital treatment records as evidence in reviewing claims submitted at the records with their records for submitted claims? Yes, they do. Should you use a previous decision that VA made on another case to appeal the decision on your case to help you with your case? Yes, you should. Hey, hi. How can I connect my left knee as secondary condition to my service-connected right knee? I would just claim it secondary. That's a common secondary condition. There's not much evidence, not much else evidence that you need. My shoulder is 30% service connected. I had surgery on my shoulder and put in for 100% temp disability, and it's been 3 months. What's the criteria for being approved? Just that the condition is service connected and you had surgery on it and you're out of work. That's the only condition for being approved. You're likely going to be approved. It's just going to take them some time to finish a claim. Then you'll be back paid for the time that you waited. So I would consider it a savings account. Are you familiar with the patch test? Mustard gas applied in the test conditions? I'm not. I have flat feet and service connected for knee injury and service. Both knees are bothering me and my low back. Can I put in secondary claim for this? Of course, yes, go for it. Is a diagnosis for somatic syndrome needed, or is chronic pain enough for a claim? I was initially denied and my supplemental closed in less than 5 days. Chronic pain is enough to claim. I wanted to file a supplemental claim for cervical radiculopathy, and that was denied in pre-discharge exam. There's evidence in my records, and it has gotten worse. I have MRI recently and got a steroid injection. Should I wait to file until injection wears off due to range of motion on CMP? No, you should file ASAP and let the doctor know where your first point of pain is. Or at least file an intent to file and then file a claim when it wears off. How long has VES to turn in the exams? I was evaluated and March is still pending. Oh my goodness. VES takes forever. Last year, I had a veteran that had exams in August, and the doctor did not sign the exam until December. They are ridiculous. They have this quality assurance program that it goes through after it goes to the doctor, and it just takes them a long time. Now, it doesn't always take them a long time. Some are returned really fast. I had a veteran the other day, his mental health exam was returned within 3 days. But to me, they are the worst contractor in terms of returning exams in a timely manner. I have had 2 CMP exams for bilateral flat feet and for fibroids on August 27th. I received the increase for the flat feet, but didn't get anything for the fibroids. I had medical records for both for years of treatment. What's my next step since I think I was denied for fibroids? Appeal. Hello, my husband went for a CMP exam in 2017 for lungs, and it's in his record that he went to this specific CMP. On the downside, VA says he didn't show up, and it went to an appeal, then claim got closed. during the beginning of COVID, so he had no access for rep help. What should he do? I don't want a full year to pass by and we don't reopen the claim. That's very smart. What you want to do is on a supplemental claim form, put down his lung condition and right next to it, I am ready to report for exam, and send that in, and they should give you a new exam for the condition. It's been continuously pursued, so it should go back to the date he first filed for it, if there no 365 days have passed between any two claims. What is PNT? PNT means permanent and total. I got copies of my medical records while I was in service. I was seen in sick call numerous times for knee and back injuries while in service. I filed for both as disabilities and have been denied multiple times for both. What should I do next, as I have been seeing an outside doctor for 4 years? Sounds like you're going to need an outside nexus letter. I have zero connection on an illness that is all over my medical record. When I went to my exams, the examiner wanted to check me, and I was not ready to do so at that time. Even though she can see it all over my medical record, I was awarded 0%. Can I go back and claim it? If I claim, do I get back pay? You probably won't get back pay, but you should put in for an increase ASAP. I would have appealed it at the time, saying they could have rated it based on your medical records. Rated for knee injury surgery, trying to get instability added. They added locking. Can I appeal again for instability? Yes, you can, because the locking should be a separate rating. I have a question. If you have a nexus, why can't they come back and say it's not service connected? Because they might weigh their evidence as more than your evidence. In that case, I would appeal to the board. All of my ratings are static except PTSD. My PTSD will be reevaluated in 2022. I feel my condition is not improving. Should I request PNT prior to my evaluation, or should I wait until my scheduled reevaluation to request PNT status? It's up to you. If you request reevaluation now, you're going to be reevaluated now. And so if you're willing to go do that reevaluation, then put in for PNT now. If you want to delay it, then wait until your reevaluation to request PNT status. I've been diagnosed with general anxiety disorder and insomnia by the VA. Do I need a nexus? Likely, you do. What is the best way for my husband to request his medical record? He can request it through a Freedom of Information Act, Privacy Act request from the VA, or get a representative who has access, who could get the records for you. It's taken over a year to get C-files now. How can we use our exam notes? That's a good question. It might just take a little longer. The best way to get your exam notes is to get a representative who can get them for you. That's the fastest way. How far does VA include for clear, unmistakable error if claims filed in 2014, 2015? If they found an error that's dated 2014, 2015, the claim is dated 2014, 2015, they're going to back pay all the way to the date of the error, if the error results in back pay. Service connected for several issues: knees, feet, asthma, etc. Both knees replaced. Filed IU December 19th. All records received. LHI CMP exam done. And 2DBQ CMP very favorable. Now asking for VES exam. VSO says I don't have to do another exam. They have all the info. What can I do for a decision in fraud and waste stalking for another exam? I have not reviewed your record. I am not your representative. But my advice would be to go to the exam. They probably need clarification on something. If you don't go to the exam, they can deny your claim. That's my advice, but I'm not your representative. I'm not, I haven't reviewed your file, and that's the best advice I can give you based on how I know VA claims work. How do I get someone to diagnose me with Gulf War illness? I have unexplained respiratory and skin issues. Keep going to the doctor for it. I did a sleep study on active duty, which came back negative for sleep apnea. I got out April 28th and did another sleep study in July and came back for sleep apnea. I opened a claim for it. What are the chances of me getting service connected without a nexus letter? Or should I go ahead and get one? You had the symptoms on active duty, so it shouldn't be hard to get service connected, but if it gets denied, get a nexus letter. My appeal was remanded back to the local office. After several exams, the VA doctors wrote my disability more likely than not occurred while active, but the local office still denied me. Is there anything else I can do before it goes back to the Board of Veterans Appeals? You can add more evidence and see if that will help connect it, but I just had a case like this and the board approved it, so you might just want to let it go back to the board and not delay it anymore. I have 70% PTSD combat related. I have more symptoms than 100%, but I was told there's no change in my symptoms without an exam. I want to add insomnia, and major depressive disorder as secondary. Is that possible? All mental health conditions are rated the same way, and you can only be rated for one. Any more than one will be combined as one condition. So there's no benefit in you adding insomnia or major depressive disorder. 70% is what I see most veterans get for PTSD. It's hard to get to 100. I would not stress it and put your 70% in limbo. But if you really, really believe you should be 100%, maybe you should go for it. But consider that you put your 70% in limbo when you keep applying for trying to get to 100%. It might be best to try to find some things to claim secondary to PTSD. 40% service connected for knee issues. Have service connected records that show continued prescribed usage 800 milligrams of ibuprofen. I have suffered GERD since leaving the military. How difficult is it to get GERD secondary to my knee condition? I mean, it's a little bit of a trial, but I would claim GERD secondary to medications taken for knee conditions. Make sure you put the medication in there, medication part in there, or the doctor is not going to know. That's why you're trying to connect it. So make sure you put GERD secondary to medication taken for service-connected knee conditions. How can I find long-term disability doctors? I'm not sure. I'm in the process of doing that now with denied. The day is higher level review denied. They then got a nexus for my GI and now waiting for them to decide supplemental. Wish you the best. I'm 100% can't work. Can I be rated higher? I have a TBI. If you qualify for a special monthly compensation, you can get compensated more, but you can't be rated higher. Should you file an intent to file for another condition if you plan to appeal a previous decision? Yes. My initial ratings code sheet indicated that my 70% PTSD was static. I held my 70% PTSD rating since July 23rd, 2020. However, when I was granted IU as of April 2019, I noticed on my rating code sheet that my PTSD was no longer static and had October 2020 future exam on it. I thought my 70% PTSD was stabilized after 5 years. Please advise. I would appeal that because it should not have been changed from static. If my packet has been submitted for HLR, can I still submit a nexus? No. New evidence is not allowed on higher level reviews. After the higher level review is decided, you can use the new evidence and file a supplemental claim, but you cannot file new evidence with a higher level review. They will not take it into consideration. I am not a Social Security disability expert, so I can't answer that question. New to this group, are you a retired veteran social worker? What is your background? Thanks, just asking. I am a veteran spouse. I'm not a retired veteran social worker. I've been through some formal training on veterans benefits and had a lot of experience in it. And I really try to learn everything VA I can and try to help the most people possible. File supplemental for cataract secondary due to steroid injections to cervix-connected back injury. Had cataract surgery. Doctor wrote nexus statement. Have CMP Wednesday. Gained distance vision, but had to wear glasses to see up close now when I was able to see up close without glasses. Even though I've had cataract surgery, do you still think it's possible for me to get a rating? Yes, I do. Have you seen or heard of someone to be reevaluated on their mental health, which is sitting at 100% PNT for mental health alone? Don't plan on any future exams or anything like that. I haven't unless you reopen it. Can you message me so I can better understand what you are saying? I need a nexus for my anxiety and insomnia. I can't see who you are on this platform. Hello, thank you for your selfless service. You're welcome. Thank you for your service. I'm undergoing a recovery process after disectomy. I'm on 2 months convalescence leave right now. Does convalescence leave count towards incapacitated IVDS? If it does, should this give me 60%? I believe so. I believe it does count towards incapacitated IVDS. Can you be 100% and not PNT? If so, can you become PNT? Is that something the VA would do, or would you have to apply? Yes, you can be 100% and not PNT. Yes, you can become PNT by making a request for PNT on a claim application form. They will reevaluate every condition that's not static. So please know you will have to go through reevaluation. Can rheumatoid arthritis be service connected? Yes, but you need to name the specific joint you're talking about that is in. How do you know if your rating is static? You need to get a hold of your rating code sheet. Either request it from the VA under a Freedom of Information Act, Privacy Act request, or get your representative to give you a copy. Can another VSO see my exam or just a rep? Just a rep that you have assigned, you have filled out the form for the VA to represent you can see your exam. I signed up for the burn pit. During the exams, they found that my symptoms related to developments and put me on albuterol. Can I put in a claim? Yes. Is your office hiring? Not at this time. Who can I go to for combat-related special compensation claim to help file with DOD? I'm not sure, to be honest with you. How do I get service connected for dental, for orthodontics, for braces, as I had a OMFS surgery for severe OSA on active duty, but was canceled due to MEB and an admin separation? Just file a claim for it. What is GERD? Gastrointestinal esophagus disease or something like that. It has to do with heartburn, acid coming back up, and stuff like that, and from your digestive system. How long does a higher level review take for IU increase? Still pain, but on daily. Higher level reviews are taking around 6 months at this point. What is the process for submitting for SMC? Just fill out the application. What is static? Static means not intended to improve. They don't intend the condition to improve, so they rate it as static. I submitted my claim in May 2020 while still on active duty. I am retired now and I have yet to have an exam. When are exams going to be rescheduled? I am an NC and I'm sorry if this question has already been asked. I got on late. You should be getting an exam pretty soon. March, April, May is when COVID really hit the fan, so things slowed down, but it's starting to pick back up now. I asked you a few questions a long while back on here about claiming infertility since they have me service connected to endometriosis. Well, I did it and they still denied me. What else do I need to do? Appeal to the board. I'm being treated for H. pylori and IBS with medication. Should I wait to file a claim for that condition in IBS? No, don't wait. I am on MEB. My VA rep submitted my claims for my appointments to be scheduled already. Some new things have come up. Will I be able to address them when doing CMP, or should I get my VA rep to submit them to have appointment scheduled? Get your VA rep to submit the new things. You won't have a CMP for anything that you did not put in a claim for. Is IBS presumptive for OIF vets? It should be under Gulf War syndrome. A lot of times doctors won't recognize it as that though. It's the examiners that are the problem here. They don't understand Gulf War syndrome, and a lot of times they'll deny it. I had surgery on my nose upper respiratory infection while in basic training. This was 20 years ago. Can I still claim this, and what is the normal rating for this? I'm not sure what the normal rating is, but you can still claim it. I ordered my C-file a year ago. The VA shows that it was issued and shipped, but never received. I don't want to reapply for my C-file. Is there any way I can see my static conditions? I'm 100% PNT. Yes, get a representative with electronic access, and they should be able to tell you which conditions are static. You can also call the 1-800 number and ask them which conditions are static, and they should be able to tell you. Waiting for supplemental to be decided for GERD secondary to meds due to SC injuries. EGD exam showed hiatal hernia. Will they deny GERD is caused by meds, saying hiatal hernia causes it? Had nexus from a civilian GI doctor. I'm not sure. You have to wait for the outcome. Where can I get my dental records? I forgot to make copies. Do a Freedom of Information Privacy Act request from the VA. Good evening. A soldier was recently granted direct service connection for GERD from a third claim that was denied several times. On the denial letter, the VA contradicts itself by saying I was not diagnosed or treated for GERD while in the military, although I was provided my medical prescriptions and the Army doctor who confirmed I was treated while on active duty. See below. In your exit examination on 1308, the doctor reported you had GERD. There were no medical treatment reports or diagnosis. I'm sorry, but I can't see the rest of that question. You're probably asking if it can be backdated. The answer is probably not, unless they're new service department records that popped up. How are TBIs rated based on the symptoms? Do I need to submit a personal statement for every issue or a combined one? I will submit one for every issue. Gastroesophageal reflux disease, GERD. Thank you so very much. I knew it was something. I just couldn't put my head around it right then. Who determines if condition is static and how is it determined? The rater determines it. It's up to their judgment. I requested my C-file in March. They say it is anticipated to be sent February 2021. Any ideas or suggestions as to why it would take so long? That's how long it takes these days. My office helps senior veterans get home that we staff. Can we hire you to look over, turn in the paperwork? We need to talk about that offline. If you get service connected for vertigo, does the VA report that to the DMV, an effective driver's license? No. The VA doesn't report anything to the DMV. I filed a claim but was told it was congenital. The OSA was discovered on active duty, was out of medical necessity that I needed surgery, but Nashville says it will not cover it. I don't have an answer for that. I was prescribed GERD medication by the VA. I am not diagnosed by the VA, but private hospital. What do I do next to get a rating secondary to medications? Just claim it secondary to the medications and include the private hospital records. I was rated 90% for multiple conditions. I was severe sleep disorder, but wasn't diagnosed with sleep apnea. What should I do to get diagnosed for apnea? Get a sleep study. This goes back to my earlier question. I have a PTSD review exam pending. With me trying to get my PTSD reviewed, can that hurt me? I'm on 3 different antidepressants and medications to give me more energy, but that doesn't work and have been through intensive care. It shouldn't hurt you, not with the level of care and medication you're receiving. I go to a private doctor and I have some things like plantar fasciitis. Can I use the private doctor's notes or do I need to take those notes to get them updated by the VA? You can use the private doctor's notes. I filed for something right thumb with diagnosed and treatment from the military. I supplied the evidence with my claim. I was denied, stated no diagnosis or complaints of treatment. Appeal and go get treatment. What does static mean? Static means not likely to improve. And your exit examination on that can be a cue, yes. You mentioned in post that females can make claims for being on depot. Can you give more info on how to make the claim? I'm not sure what you mean by depot. To submit a claim for migraine headache secondary to sleep apnea, what needs to be provided? Just make the claim. You can go to a neurologist or get a diagnosis, but if you submit a secondary claim, they're going to send you to an examination for an opinion. Submit your log with your claim. If I want to file for a higher rating on existing conditions and supplemental conditions, do I file them all together? Yes, but the secondary conditions, yes. The answer is yes. I think you meant secondary by supplemental. Elevated levels of anxiety causing acid reflux GERD. I've heard of it. How long does it take to get a decision from the Board of Veterans Appeals? The VA website says there's 80,000 appeals ahead of me. Thanks for answering my previous question. About a year. Can you get secondary for an issue that isn't service connected? For example, I'm not diagnosed with diabetes, but I have been getting headaches that noted with metformin I have been taking. Is Nexus needed? No, you can't get it secondary for an issue that isn't service connected. For someone to file a secondary condition, what form do you need to file it on? In most cases, the 526EZ, but if it's been the secondary condition has been denied before as a primary condition, it needs to go on a supplemental claim form 20995. I was diagnosed with anemia about 10 years ago. Me too. I've been on a multivitamin ever since. I retire next year. Is this still considered a current diagnosis? Yes. I will go get seen for it again. Depot is a birth control shot. Oh, I'm not sure. I was diagnosed in 2015 for low back pain, and this year I have been diagnosed with sciatica with pain in left leg. Do I still need to file a separate claim or for an increase since my symptoms have gotten worse? If you're not service connected for sciatica, you have to apply for that secondary to your low back pain. And if your back pain has gotten worse, you want to put in for an increase for that if you're not already at 40%. I need a VSO. Where do I find one? Tampa Bay area. I need to start filing claims. I am Gulf War vet. Do I need one or can I file on your own? You can file on your own, but in order to get one, you should start looking for one in your area. DAV, American Legion, your county government should have some. Just look for some in your area. VA did a sleep study test and found that I had sleep apnea, and they gave me a CPAP machine, but I was denied for sleep apnea. What are some other options I can take? Appeal. What code does shrapnel on the left foot fall under? Probably the foot rating code. But I don't know those diagnostic codes off the top of my head. And that's all the questions for tonight, folks. Thank you so much for hanging with me this last hour and a half. It's been a pleasure. Y'all continue to enjoy your Labor Day and take care.